Welcome back. It's great to see you guys again. As you can tell, I've got this sweet life jacket, got my hat, got my sunglasses, got my paddle, and I'm ready to go. So, our lesson today, we're talking about water. Well, no, not about drinking water. Listen, you just have to stay tuned to find out. Okay, but that leads me to what I need to know. Would you rather float in a pool, a river, or the ocean? Make sure to leave a comment down below to let me know. Whoa, I had no idea. But before we go floating down the river, let's all stand and worship together.
We've got a battle to fight. God is on our side. We've got a world to reach. Your spirit lives in me. We've got a need to feel. We know it's your will for the world to see, that you set them free, and you can count on me. You can count on me. I will give all I can. I will lend a helping hand. I will be all I can be. You can count on me. I will love with all my heart. I will always do my part. I will see the victory. You can count on me. We've got a battle to fight. God is on our side. We've got a world to reach. Your spirit lives in me. We've got a need to feel, and we know it's your will for the world to see, that you set them free, and you can count on me. You can count on me. I will give all I can. I will lend a helping hand. I will be all I can be. You can count on me. I will love with all my heart. I will always do my part. I will see the victory. You can count on me. You can count on me. I'm on a mission to set the captives free. You can count on me. You can count on me. You can count on me. Yeah. I will serve the King, and I will lay down my life for the one who died to set me free. You're my everything. You set the captives free, and I want you to know that you can always count on me. I will give all I can. I will lend a helping hand. I will be all I can be. You can count on me. I will love with all my heart. I will always do my part. I will see the victory. You can count on me. You can count on me.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, you guys caught me again. I call this move the paddle praise. You know, when I'm in the zone and I'm worshiping, I just lose myself. And you guys can lose yourself too. Well, I don't want you to lose, I want you to win. Okay, enough about winning and losing. Let's just talk about the game we're gonna play. It's called Will It Float? And we've got to find out if the item is going to sink or will it float. Come on, let's crush it together.
This game is called Will It Float? In this game, you will have to try to decide if you think the objects will float or sink. Make sure you're on your feet. If you think the object will float, you need to move your body to the left side of the room. If you think it will sink, you need to move your body to the right side of the room. Here we go, round 1. Do you think an orange will float? Move to the left side of the room if you think it will float, or move to the right side of the room if you think it will sink. It floats. Great job. Now let's see if we can answer a review question from some of the things that we've been learning about. How did Jesus come into Jerusalem at the triumphal entry? If you said he came riding on the colt of a donkey, you're right. Let's go to round 2. Do you think a roll of duct tape will float? Move to the left side of the room if you think it will float, or move to the right side of the room if you think it will sink. It sinks. If that's what you guessed, you're right. Let's try another question. This one's a little tricky. What ruler of the Jews came to Jesus by night, seeking the way to eternal life? If you said Nicodemus, you're right. Here we go with round 3. Do you think a can of chicken will float? Move to the left side of the room if you think it will float, or move to the right side of the room if you think it will sink. It sinks. If that's what you guessed, you're right. Here's another question for you. How many books are there in the Bible? Did you say 66? If you did, you're right. Let's try one more round. Round 4. Do you think this cantaloupe melon will float? It's pretty heavy. Move to the left side of the room if you think it will float, or move to the right side of the room if you think it will sink. It floats. Wow, I have one more question for you. How did Jesus feed 5,000 men plus women and children? The answer is he multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fish from a boy's lunch. Great job, everyone. Thanks for playing.
Great job, guys. Okay, so now it's time for our Remember Verse. Do you remember the code from last week? Let's take a second to refresh and let's see. Now let's go over it together. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. Psalm 145, verse 8. Now let's all say it again. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. Psalm 145, verse 8. Awesome job! Okay, keep practicing and working on that. But for now, let's learn our big God story.
So, you remember last week the miracle that we saw Jesus perform? You see, he had over 5,000 people to feed, and all he had was a couple of loaves and some fish. And he did that, and it was miraculous. Well, today's story happens right after that. You see, after he feeds the 5,000, Jesus goes off into the wilderness to pray, and the disciples, well, they get in a boat. And we find in Matthew chapter 14 this story about Jesus walking on water. What? That's right. You see, the disciples had gotten in the boat and they were taking the long trek across the Sea of Galilee. Now, back in those days, there were no motors on boats. Do you know what they had to do? They had to row. They had to row that boat to get it across the Sea of Galilee. And so the disciples, they rowed for hours all night long. And then all of a sudden, they see something that really scares them. Have you ever been scared? Ooh, they looked out across the water and they saw Jesus. Now, they were in the Sea of Galilee. Jesus wasn't standing on land. He was walking on the water. Some of the disciples thought it was a ghost. So scary. Peter recognizes that it's Jesus. And he calls out to Jesus and he said, Jesus, can I come out onto the water too? I mean, some of us are brave like that. We'd be like seeing Jesus and be like, oh, that looks cool. Maybe I'll jump out of the boat too. And so Jesus says, yes, Peter, come out. And so Peter jumps out on the boat and he's walking on water and he's like, wow, this is really cool. Until the moment that Peter takes his eyes off Jesus. He takes his eyes off Jesus and all of a sudden Peter sees himself sinking into the water. And Peter gets really scared until Jesus reaches out his hand and he grabs onto Jesus and pulls him up and they both get back into the boat. And the Bible talks about how the disciples, they're worshiping Jesus and they're like, truly, you are the Son of God. You're the Messiah. You see, at this point, they didn't know for sure. They didn't believe in their heart that this Jesus was who he said he was. But they knew in this moment that Jesus had come near to them. And sometimes me and you, we face hard times too. But just like Peter, when he reached out and asked Jesus to help him, Jesus will be near to us as well. You see, when we take a problem to God and we most of the time ask him to just take the problem away, and he does that sometimes, but there are moments where God is asking us to rely on his strength, to know that God is near and that no matter what we're facing, he is there with us.
Wow, what an amazing story. I just love hearing these true stories from the Bible, where we hear things like Peter, a guy like Peter who was just a regular guy, kind of like me, and like you too, and he trusted that Jesus was near to him. And we can trust that Jesus is near to us too. Now before we go, I'd like to pray for you. May you know that God is near as you go through hard times. May he give you patience, peace, and joy. And may your faith grow as you keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time. But wait, I can't swim. I got my life jacket. Wait, hey guys, can I get a little help here?
Pastor Bobby, you're in the backyard. Just get up and walk out. Oh my goodness.